with these pastime places of the Lord as we aspire someday to enter into those eternal pastimes by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas and Krishna. So with that intent, I have visited Braj Mandal a few times, but this year I wanted to visit Navadvip Dham because I had not visited Navadvip in like 5 years after COVID. So originally, I wanted to go for just a Navadvip parikrama for 10 days. So I had booked my tickets. But then, everyone was going to the Mahakumbh, and everyone that I was calling, that, even to ask how you're doing, everyone was on their way to the Mahakumbh. So then I also decided to go to the Mahakumbh. So I changed my tickets from, Atlanta to Kolkata. I changed it to Delhi. Now, this was my first time being outside of, our usual Braj or Navadvip or Sri Kshetra, going to the Mahakumbh. I was trying to see if somebody could come with me, but I just could not align my dates with anybody. So in the end, it was just me going to the Mahakumbh by myself. And it was very anxiety provoking initially, because looking at all the videos of the stampedes and everything, it was really anxiety provoking. But I was just praying that hopefully in this, millions of people, I find one person that, will help me to take this plan. So anyways, that's how I planned. And, going from Atlanta to Mahakumbh, the route was, going to Delhi and then to Prayagraj. And then the thing about the Mahakumbh and the tent city is, the four-wheelers do not go there. You have to go on a two-wheeler to enter the tent city. So even if you take a cab from the airport, it will only leave you 8 kilometers away from the tent city, and you have to take the scooter. So this was the first time that now I'm thinking, oh, I have to take a scooter, and I have to take my luggage on a scooter, on a two-wheeler to get into the tent city. But I was all mentally prepared for that. Fortunately, Radharani had made some arrangement where I found this friend of mine that I had done a Braj Mandal Parikrama together. She was from Haridwar. So, we connected literally on the day that I was leaving from Atlanta, that she was like, oh, I've been there for 6 weeks. Yeah, come on over. So she arranged my two-wheeler scooter to pick me up from Prayagraj. And she was staying there. And so I could get a good accommodation tent with, an attached bathroom. And I stayed there for 2 nights. And then the next day, she and her husband, they came with me, and we did the bathing. And but I was not satisfied. I was like, no, I want to go to the Triveni Sangam. And it was a little far. And so I was like, the next day, I went by myself to the Triveni Sangam. There were no boats. People talked about the boat club and this and that. But that day, everything was closed because it was the day prior to Mahashivratri. So everything was closed. And most of the bridges were outbound, and only there was one bridge that was inbound. So it was a lot of walk, but I was used to the walking, so that didn't bother me. Now, for the actual snan, the police helped me because I was by myself. And the police were very kind. And so the 2 policemen, they came with me. One held my bag and my chappal, and one, with his whistle, he kind of took me down to the water. He didn't come down in the water, but somebody there else helped me. So in the end, it all worked out very well, although I was very, very anxious before going that how was I going to do this Mahakumbh Snan. I'm looking at all these stampede videos and all these people were sending me, and but still, Krishna and Radharani were very merciful, and Mother Ganges and Yamuna and Saraswati, they were very merciful, and I was able to do it with, some help from the police and all that. So anyways, that worked out well. The next stop, so my next stop is actually going back to Kolkata because that was the original plan. But the tickets I could only get from Varanasi. I was not able to get, a good ticket from Prayagraj to Kolkata. So I had to go via Varanasi because, via from Prayagraj, it was going to be like maybe 8 hours because there was a halt somewhere else in Hyderabad or somewhere. So anyways, the flight was from Varanasi. Now Varanasi, that flight was the day after Mahashivratri. So they said, oh, it's going to be so crowded for Mahashivratri. So you go the day before. So I went the day before. So that also, it was like leaving Prayagraj in the evening. About 6 o'clock, so I reached Varanasi at like 1 a.m., then trying to find a hotel because everything, doing from here was not very possible to arrange those hotels. And that's all that I'm doing with the driver at 1 a.m. in the morning, trying to find a hotel in Varanasi. So anyways, we found a hotel. And then the next day was Mahashivratri. Now the hotel is so far away from the Kashi Vishwanath temple that I had to take three auto rickshaws to get to Kashi Vishwanath. And then there it is so crowded because this is the land of Lord Shiva and today is Mahashivratri and there is like such a big line. Like I was in the queue at like 2:30 p.m. Reaching there with like three auto rickshaws and all, trying to find out from the locals, how to get there to Kashi Vishwanath temple. So 2:30 p.m. and my turn to take darshan came at 1 a.m. in the morning. So here I am at 1 a.m., taking darshan. Now the experience at Kashi Vishwanath was that it's like a moving darshan. And all darshan you get is like for half a second. You're just moving and there's so much police. So just keep moving. That's how it was. And even in that crowd, like there was one lady in front of me and she had a mobile phone. So the Mahila police was so mad at her. She started pushing her and I'm the next person. So she's pushing me. It was like a lot of shoving and pushing in the crowd. And then one police even pulled my hair to get me out of that crowd. And it was all that pushing and shoving to get a half-second darshan of Kashi Vishwanath, and that too at 1 a.m. in the morning. So that was the experience in Kashi Vishwanath. Now I was saying about so my realization at that time was, after I finished that half-second darshan, after standing in the queue for like 10 hours and all this pushing and shoving by the police, my realization was I was sitting in I just had to sit in the corner in the temple and I was crying for 10 minutes, sobbing uncontrollably to myself that how merciful is Lord Krishna. That, okay, for half-second, I could not even get the darshan of the lotus feet, the lotus eyes, the lotus face of the Lord. It was a linga and a moving darshan for half a second. For that, I was in the line for 10 hours, 12 hours. And all the shoving and pushing where the police is pulling my hair, literally pulling my hair to get me out of the crowd. And how merciful is Lord Krishna that, and Srila Prabhupada, that we have Radha Madan Mohan in our temple. And that's what my local deities were coming in front of my eyes, that Radha Madan Mohan, Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, that I get to see their darshan, their lotus feet, their lotus eyes, lotus face. I get to touch them, sometimes put a shawl on them when it's cold. I had that service in the winter. So how merciful are there? We don't have any line. Nobody's pushing and shoving me. It's not half a second. I can stand there for hours and hours if I want. So that was one realization I had at Kashi Vishwanath, that, because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have so much personal relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. And he is in our city, in our town. I don't even have to go anywhere to get his darshan. So that was that realization that I had in Kashi Vishwanath. Now, talking about the experience in Mahakumbh, so before I was going to the Mahakumbh, I was very anxious, as I said, looking at all the news and YouTube, and many people, they were like, no, don't go by yourself. You might even die over there. That's what somebody said. And even if you die, nobody's even going to know who died, and they're just going to dump you. That's how they were telling me. Lots of them. And because I could not coordinate the dates with anybody, and these contents were going to be finished by I think February 12th.
Rajeshwari Priyamataji, what I would like to hear is, what are you gonna do to change your practical life?
Okay.
By having those experiences.
I think the realization still is that, how merciful is Radharani and Krishna. So although you visit all these places outside of Krishna's pastimes, you still realize that he was the one that is still the supreme person that had that had control over all these trips also, that although I'm trying to take a bath in the Ganges, it's really Radharani making those arrangements.
So how you are going to reciprocate with that?
by chanting more, by reading more, by associating with devotees more.
Okay. I think that's, thank you very much for sharing that. I think it's always a unique experience in our life, and we need to learn how to utilize those to improve our devotion in somehow in our daily life. So may Radharani and Holy Name bless you. So we will continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrta. We are on the second volume. The chapter title we are reading is Stay High Forever. I hope I didn't cut you short, Mataji, but I think it is nice to know that you have some realization through the trip, which is very nice. I didn't mark it down where we stopped the day. Yeah, I think that we finished with this. The article ended with a hymn that Thompson Square Park would see similar spiritual happenings each weekend. There in the shadow of Owings Hill, God lives in a trance-like dance and chant. So now October 12th, we will continue reading. It was to be a low peasant rally, marking California's new law prohibiting the possession of LSD. The rally's promoters urged everyone to come to Tompkins Square Park in elaborate dress. Although the devotees has nothing to do with LSD laws, they took the rally as another opportunity to popularize the chanting of Hare Krishna. So they went with the Swami's blessings, carrying finger, kartals and a homemade tambourine. The devotees looked plain in the dark jeans and lightweight zippered jacket. All around them, the dress was extravagant: tie-dyed shirt, tie-bleached jeans, period costumes, painted faces, and there was even a circus clown. Tully Kupferberg of the Fox Rock had carried an American flag with the star rearranged to spell LOVE. But so far the rally had been a dud, just a strange set of drugged young people milling near the large tree where Swamiji had chanted and spoken just a few days before. Swamiji's boys made their way through the crowd to a central spot and started chanting Hare Krishna. A crowd pressed in close around them, and everyone seems to be in friendly spirits, just unorganized, without any purpose. The idea behind the rally had been to show love and pageant of LS division, but not much had been happening. Someone was walking around with a bucket of burning incense. Some hippies sat back on the park benches, watching everything through colored glasses. But the kirtan was attractive, and soon a crowd gathered around the boys as they chanted Hare Krishna. Kirtanan, his shaved head covered with neat skull cap, stood beside tall Jagannath, who with his dark frame glasses and wavy hair looked like a great horned owl playing hand kartals. Umapati also playing hand kartals, looking thoughtful. Brahmananda sat on the ground in front of them, his eyes closed and his mouth widely open, chanting Hare Krishna. And beside him, and looking moody, sat Raphael, and next to him, ascetically thin-faced Ravindra Swarup. Close by, a policeman stood watching them. The hippies began to pick up the chanting. They had come together, but there had been no chanter, no lecture, no amplified music. But now they began clapping and swaying, getting into the chanting as if it were their single purpose. The chanting grew stronger, and after an hour, the group broke into a spontaneous dance, joining hands and singing out Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. They skipped and danced together, circling the tree and Swamiji's disciples. To the hippies, it was in fact a love pageant rally, and they had found the love and peace they were searching for. It was in this mantra, Hare Krishna had become their anthem, the reason for coming together, the life of the love pageant rally. They didn't know exactly what the mantra was, but they accepted it as something deep within the soul, a metaphysical vibration. They turned into it. Even the clown began chanting and dancing. Only the policeman remained aloof and sober, though he also would see that the new demonstration would be a peaceful one. The dance continued, and only the impending dusk brought the love pageant rally to a close. The devotees hurried back to Swamiji to tell him all that had happened. He had been sitting at his desk translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he had not been physically present at the kirtan, his disciple had acted on his instruction. So even without leaving his room, he was spreading the chanting of Hare Krishna. Now he sat waiting for the report. They burst into his room with shining eyes, flushed faces, and hoarse voices relating the good news. Not only had they dutifully chanted, but hundreds of people had joined them and sung and danced in a big circle in a spirit of unity. Quote, Swamiji, You should have seen, unquote, Brahmananda exclaimed, his voice now exhausted from chanting. Quote, it was fantastic, fantastic, unquote. Prabhupada looked from one face to another, and he also became little them, elated and hopeful that the chanting could go on like this. They had proved that their chanting of Hare Krishna could lead the love and peace movement. It could grow and hundreds could take part. Quote, it is up to you to spread this chanting, unquote, Swamiji told them. Quote, I'm an old man, but you are young and you can do it, unquote. October 13, the Village Voice ran 4 large photographs of the Love Vision rally. The article stated as follows. The backbone of the celebration was the mantra, holy chants from the Sanskrit Bhagavad Gita. And for 3 hours, it became like a boat on a sea of rhythmic chanting, led by 15 disciples of Bhaktivedanta Swami, who operates from a storefront on 2nd Avenue. The mantras ebbed and flowed with the rhythm of drums, flutes, and soda cap tambourines. October 18, it was Sunday, and again they went to Tompkins Square Park. Swamiji played the bongo as before, striking the drum head deftly as ever, his nimble fingers creating drum rolls as he sat on the rug in the autumn afternoon. His authentic melodic voice recited the prayer to the previous spiritual masters. Bhakti Vinod, Gaur Kishore, Bhakti Siddhanta, the century-old disciplic succession of which he was the living representative. Now in the 1960s, in this remote part of the world, he sang their names in duty, deference, and love as their servant. He sat surrounded by his American followers under the tall oak tree amid the maze-like fence of the park. And the same magic occurred. This time, the hippies came by with more ease and familiarity. Allen Ginsberg came again, and hundreds others gathered as Prabhupada loudly sang Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Of the hundreds who came by, some stayed briefly and then left. Some decided to listen and chant for a few minutes, or even for the entire afternoon. And a few, very few, marked their encounter with the Swami as an unforgettable change in their lives. Bob Correns was looking for the Swami. He was walking with his stylishly dressed wife and 2-year-old son, Eric. Bob was 26-year-old and worked as a supervisor in the New York City Welfare Department. He had grown up in Washington, D.C., where he had met his wife. He had a full face and broad forehead, a clear voice, and steady eyes. So Bob is explaining in his own word. After I graduated from the George Washington University, I decided to go straight to what I thought was the heart of the material world, New York City, to seek out whatever was the highest truth. I ended up living around the corner from the first East Village head shop. Bob didn't think his job as a social worker really helped anyone. His clients over the years seems to maintain the same outlook and habits. He and his wife frequented West Village coffee houses, had attended lecture by Larry and Alport on expanded consciousness, and had taken part in recent peace march. Bob had come to feel that his aspiration for a master's degree and a better apartment were unfulfilling, and he was looking for something more. Okay, we have some time. So Bob still continued to explain in his word. I heard about I Ching, a book that was supposed to chart a person's course in life. So I got someone to do a reading for me. The direction was, quote, push upward through darkness, unquote. I took it as a good sign, a spiritual sign. Then I purchased the first East Village Other, and I saw the article entitled, quote, Save Earth Now, unquote. There was a picture of the Swami. I had read in a book by a Sikh teacher that there could be no higher knowledge without a spiritual master. Every morning on his way to work, Bob used to pass by the Swami's storefront. Curious, he stopped once and peered in the window only to find an empty room with some straw mats on the floor and one of Swamiji boys, quote, oh, these people are Buddhist, unquote, he thought. The door had been opened and the boy came over and invited him in. Quote, no thanks, he said, thinking, I don't want anything to do with Buddhism. And he went on to his job. In a head stop one day, he had picked up one of the Swamiji Bhagavatam and looked through it. But he thought it was too advanced, so he put it back down. After he read the article in the East Village Other, his interest increased. He thought that today might be the last Sunday of chanting in the park before the cold weather came. And so he went to the park hoping to find the Swami and his chanters. His wife was beside him, pushing Eric in a stroller when he heard the ching-ching of the hand kartals and a chorus of rhythmic chanting from the south side of the park. Thinking it must be a Swami, he followed the sound while wife took Eric to the play on the swing. Alone now, Bob drew closer, moving into the crowd until he could see Kirtan party and the Swami sitting under the tree. Bob stood among a crowd of hundreds, unnoticed. Everything is happening because of me, unquote, thought 19-year-old Judy Koslovsky. Quote, everything I see in my own creation, and I am the supreme. Everything is mine, unquote. As a thought of being God obsessed her, Judy forgot her father and everything else. She was confused. In quote, if I'm God, why can't I control everything? And why am I so fearful of LSD? Unquote. Judy was a student at the City College of New York, majoring in art and history. Okay, 6:54, let's finish this paragraph. She was taking guitar lessons from the Reverend Gary Davis, the blues singer and Christian preacher, who was teaching her the art of sad soul music. Today, however, under the influence of the LSD, She had the overwhelming impression that she was God. She had had a fight with her father, who seemed cold and distant to her and couldn't understand her. And she had left her parents' home in the Bronx and traveled downtown. She was going to visit a girlfriend, and Tompkins Square Park happened to be on the way. When she reached the park, the kirtan was going on, but she couldn't see much because of the crowd. She weaved her way in closer until she could see some men. One seven-headed, several bearded, dancing with upraised hands. And in the center, she saw the Swami sitting on the rug, playing his drum. So I think the time has come that we should stop. And before the devotees leave, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the dusk of their feet. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam bhavunebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much for joining. And if Krishna so desires, we will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, or you can join at your convenient time. If anybody has any question, comment, correction, chastisement, nobody has to say anything, huh? Hare Krishna. So I think we should stop here.
Okay.
Yes, anybody has to say something?
I want to say something. I want to ask, how do we align ourselves in always the feeling of soul consciousness?
Huh? Can you tell me? What did you say, Mother?
How do we always put ourselves in the thought that we are soul?
It is not clear. Can you speak a little louder?
Yes. Like I always feel embodied all the times. How do we always feel in the level of soul? How do you connect always with like Hare Krishna chanting is going to help always, but how do we always motivate ourselves that we are always that feeling that we are soul?
I think that we should pray to those personality to enlighten us. We always identified everything with our material body, and that's the disease we have. We always identified everything related to body. We always become attracted to the body relations, and we become attached. And Srila Prabhupada used to say so many times that we are not this body. And it's very difficult to understand how much Prabhupada emphasizes on that sentence every time he says, we are not this body. Because as long as we remain conscious about this body, it would be very difficult to go beyond to the search for our eternal identity. This gross material body is covering the spiritual identity of our living being in reality. So slowly and slowly by the different experiment, and I think the most successful process that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our Acharya has given, that we in our heart has so many misgiving, illusion, and ignorance sitting in our heart. Like Burijan Prabhu will say that we have accumulated the dirt 30 kilometers thick in the walls of our heart. So how you will be able to see, like if the mirror is covered by the dust, you won't be able to see who you are. But the process our Acharya has given is to sincerely, in a praying mood, early in the morning, if we pray to our Acharyas and seek their blessings and sincerely try to chant the Hare Krishna attentively, slowly and slowly those misgivings will be removed from our heart. All the misidentification slowly and slowly will become defaced, and we will be able to see really who we are. And then once we realize, then all our actions will also change. Because before, our actions was related to give the bodily pleasure, and we will put all our energy. But as we find it out that this body is just a covering of the real identity of our self, then we will put more time and effort to enlighten that soul that's sitting within our heart. Like Prabhupada always give an example of the bird cage, that we bring the bird into the cage and we try to polish and clean the cage every single day. But if you forget to feed the bird, then the bird will die. Then the whole purpose of bringing the cages become useless. So similarly, we have to think that our real identity is that we are spiritual, part and parcel of Krishna. Mam evanse jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Manaha sastra indriyani manusya. I don't know the last line. But it says that we have been a part and parcel of Krishna. If Krishna is Satchitananda, we should also have the same quality. But because we have been covered by the illusory potency of Krishna, and it's difficult to understand our real identity. So I think the best thing is Prabhupada and all our Acharya has given, that if you keep on chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, slowly and slowly all this layer of ignorance, illusions and misgiving will be coming out from your heart, and you will be able to see shining soul within you that's part and parcel of Krishna. And then so many things will reveal to you that as a part and parcel, we have some duty to perform to the Supreme, which is to have a loving relationship with the Supreme. And that can be established in the beginning through the loving exchange with his devotees. I was just thinking that how magnanimous those devotees, senior devotees are, that if you even render with love and devotion some sincere, simple service, they will appreciate. I remember that when Burijan Prabhu came many years ago, and I just did one simple service, is to buy a jewelry box where Prabhupada can rest and Prabhu can travel with Prabhupada. That service alone, what I did is nothing, right? I just bought the jewelry box, then I bought some sponge and I cut it as the body of Prabhupada so it doesn't create any pressure on the body of Prabhupada. And then other day I was thinking that, oh, how can Prabhupada can sit on the foam? I have to have a nice fabric to cover so it's very comfortable to Prabhupada. Then I went on to make the pillows and all that rest of the thing. Just by that having one simple service, still Burijan Prabhu kept me in his heart. And he always remembered, he sent me the picture of Govardhan most of the time when sun is shining. So by associating with those devotees, we will get the more faith in our life. Only problem, we don't make any advancement because we don't have yet enough faith. And how can we have faith? By associating with those that they have established faith in their life. And we can see through this, life of our Acharya, and that's why I really interested to dwell in the life of Acharyas, that Krishna is there, and he reciprocates with his devotees as he promised in the Bhagavad Gita. Yathamam prapadyante tam tatami brajamyam. As you surrender, I will come to you and I will protect you, I will maintain you. And slowly all the ignorance will go away from our life, and we will have more faith. With more determination, you continue your practice, and difficulties will come during that process because Krishna will test your sincerity. So nothing will remain simple. But if you remain steadfast, Krishna will give you the assurance that impossible become possible if you stay on course with the full flesh. And those difficulties will increase your faith. And slowly you will realize that actually my job is to enlighten my soul. And how we can enlighten the soul is to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always blissful. And we can have the loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's what we are searching somewhere else in other relationship. But because they are not perfect like a Supreme Personality of Godhead, we don't become happy. That's the problem. But if you show those that they have completely transcendental, like Supreme Personality of Godhead, then all the happiness will come in our life. There is no cessation of the happiness. It's ever increasing happiness that we have never even tasted a tinge of it. As you try to see and experience is more important in our life. We can read so many books, we can hear many classes, but unless you experience yourself in your life, it's very difficult to maintain even the sadhana. But Krishna is very kind. He will give if we keep eye open. A lot of the time, even Krishna wants to reciprocate with us, but because of our ignorance, we may not understand. Slowly it will reveal to you that everything happens in our life by the sweet will of the Lord. And when you come to the state to accept it lovingly, all circumstances, good or bad, whatever it may be, like in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 1 to 3, you read this, where those qualities has been described, that should slowly start to develop in our life. If no transformation of our heart happen through the process, we should know that our process is not good. We are making some mistakes. And that's the reason we should have some mentor in our life who can guide us properly, who has walked on that path. So they know it how to correct the situation. But slowly this materialism will deface from our life. And you will see slowly your attachment for those things will slowly will reduce. And then you know that you are making spiritual advancement because you are realizing the fact that these things will never give me happiness in my life. It just entangles us more and more if we remain in the material consciousness or conditional life. So we are suffering only reason that we have turned away from Krishna. And if we turn back toward Krishna, He will make all this arrangement to take us back where we belong eternally. and our life will become successful. So I think it's a process. You must have a patience. You must have an enthusiasm. You must get the proper understanding and instructions. You must have a good guide with you. And all these things will be revealed, and you will be able to see the advancement. Because the things that you were attracted before, that will slowly you will lose the attractions for those things, and you will increase your attractions toward those activity that can take you closer to Krishna. So this is the sign of advancement. So it takes some time, mother. It's not that easy, and that's why Prabhupada used to say, first thing we have to know. And this is why, because you just see practical point of view. All our effort we use for whom? Who are bodily connected,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
All this, like, how much money we earn, how much we spend, how much time we spend for those people that are bodily connected to us. But when you leave these connections, then there is a whole universe is there that you can associate with them in the same way as you feel like attached to your family member. There is a large family Krishna has given us to associate and explore. But we become miser, and we just want to do for our closest relation, not even to give that proper attention to Lord Sri Krishna, who has given us even everything. I have experienced in my life that when maybe we were misers, so he took away all the business and we lost the money. So it takes some time to realize everything. But this is the main problem, is we are materially attached. This is the root cause of all the problem. And that unless and until we are able to give up this deep-rooted attachment, like it says that how the Parikshit Maharaj, he was a king, he has the treasury, he has the army, he has all these things was there. How he was able to give up everything? That even that the desire for this attachment was wiped out completely. Not only that we gave up the desire, but that desire will never come in our heart. How? And the explanation has given that he had the deep attractions for the message of God, and he became attracted. And then you see that the life of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, does anything stop them? No. Because they have a complete conviction. So they understood that if I have just one person in my life that I can make him please, my whole life will be successful. And you look at there, Namachari Haridas Thakur was beaten up at 22 Marketplace. Do you think he lose the faith in the holy name? No. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his back, that whatever they were hitting with the sticks, Haridas Thakur was not taking any pain. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking the beating. So this is, science is really, really far out. But I think it's when we remain steadfast, slowly and slowly, those realization will come to the extent that we will accept the word of the scripture and our spiritual master. Prabhupada, what he has implicit faith in the holy name and the instruction of his spiritual master. We are reading his life. How much difficulty he went through. But he has the conviction that this is something, and we should know for sure that if we cannot deliver our soul from this engagement in material world, This is the chance as a human form of life. And if he misuses everyone, you visit this hospital where the people are dying, like my son was telling me. He treats them so nicely, all the patients. So they always tell him, tell your parents that how did they groom you up to be a so kind person. You won't believe one of the black patient, and he need the nail cutter. And my son always says that I don't use except made in America. So this person asked him that, Jay, can you bring me a nail cutter? So my son ordered the made in USA nail cutter. Another day he delivered to him, and he was so happy, so happy. You can touch someone's life with small service. Now he might have spent $10-15 for that made in USA nail cutter. But look at that, he won the heart of that person. And he, my son, even though they may be in a different religion, he always chant Hare Krishna to them without any fear. He said that I have realized by chanting this Hare Krishna benefit everyone. Would you like me to chant for you? And he hold the patient's hand and he chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra without any fear. And people appreciate. He was telling me the other day that the one person has was in very critical conditions, and he got the text message from him that now he is completely cured. And he wrote that, Jay, I think your prayer worked. He didn't believe that he will survive from the disease. I don't know what exactly it was. But look at that. That patient texted him after he recovered from there. He was in the home. And my son doesn't know because he was discharged from the hospital. So people do remember if you do something good to them. So this is, we have to look at as a large family. We have some responsibility that we have to perform, not only to the close who is connected with the blood, but we have to go far beyond. And when you go there, that's where the happiness lies. When you help someone, some ways or other, people are suffering in this material world like anything. If you can give them some and bring them close to the Krishna, that's the greatest gift you can give to someone. It depends on the nice, genuine feeling in your heart. And do little thing for them. They will never forget you throughout your life, throughout their life. And this is the job that we have been assigned, that we have to be so considerate about everything. We have to do certain thing that we can bring some people closer to Krishna. That's all it is. And Krishna becomes so pleased. He will empower you more and more if you remain in that mood. That this is, I'm simply an instrument. I don't have any ability on my own to do anything. It's just by the mercy of my Guru and Krishna. Maybe I may be able to bring some souls closer to Krishna. And Krishna clearly states in the Bhagavad Gita that he likes those persons who bring more persons, because Krishna wants all of us to go and live eternal life with him. He's so kind. But because we have done so many bad activity, we have to take a reaction for it. And this is our own desire was there to live separately from Krishna. And Krishna is that person that he fulfills each and every desire that we have in our heart. He never forces. Why he has to do forcing? Nothing. He is the creator. He is the maintainer of the whole thing. By his sweet will, everything is organized properly. He don't have to make any plan. He don't have to put his energy. Just simply thinking, everything happens. Just think about it, how this cosmic manifestation is working under his directions without getting involvement. He clearly says, right, he created this material world, but he's not inside this material world. He's transcendental. And that's why he is the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have to put any effort. So why you want to not have a friendship with someone that can solve all our problem, rather than trying to satisfy the worldly minded people that they will never be yours, no matter how much you do. Even if you make a one mistake, that's it for your relationship. This is the material world. They will forget no matter what you have done throughout your life. Everybody is seeking something from someone. All our relation based on some needs. Remember this. When that need diminishes, you lose the relationship. Because we are looking for temporary things. You know? But Krishna is
Yes.
Krishna is not like that. Krishna will see only your intention in your activities, not even like my Guru Maharaj used to say that the rich person may give millions of dollars, and one poor man who has just collected 1 rupee, and if he put even 1 cent in the donation box, it will be more than $1 million, because Krishna sees everything. There is nothing we can keep hide from Krishna. No matter what he is, that's the reason he resides as a super soul to witness all our activities. So when we become sincere, he will recognize that yes, this person is really seeking my shelter. And he will make all wonderful arrangements that we have never even think of. That's my experience, little whatever I have.
Very nicely, beautifully explained. Thank you so much for explaining so clearly.
Thank you very much. I'm not a learned person, Mataji. Otherwise, there are so many nice verses in Bhagavad Gita. One thing I would like to read. Chapter 9, text number 31. Let me see. which will tell you greatness of Krishna. 9:31. Shipram bhavati dharmatma sasvach chantim nigachati kuntaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasyati. Translation. He quickly becomes righteous and attain lasting peace. Ashran of Kunti declared it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Purport. This should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says, the one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualification whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engage in abnormal activities, either by accident or by intention, be a pure devotee? This question may justly be raised. The miscreant, as stated in the 7th chapter, who never come to the devotional service of the Lord, have no good qualification, as is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contamination are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulations that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But listen carefully, here there is no such conditions when you become devotees. You don't have to go through the purificatory process because the purifying process is already there in the heart of a devotee. And due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly, therefore, the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect a devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. What a wonderful verse. And in Bhagavad Gita, I think in second chapter or third chapter also, he says that in this process there is no loss or no diminutions. You don't lose anything by chanting Hare Krishna Maha. You may not see the benefit, but that benefit is eternally in your account. Even if you have chanted one round, next life you will start with one round. All other things that we acquire in the material world become zero when you leave this world. Only thing will come with you is your spiritual advancement. That's all. So how much time we should spend on the spiritual side, we have to ask ourselves. Slowly and slowly, we have to divert our activity. At least on this retirement age, we should be so fixed up. There is nothing to do. You know, God has given you plenty of time. He has given you the good health that you can utter the holy name. Just sit down and take complete shelter, and you will see transformation of your heart will take place, and you will be able to attract so many people. Even if you don't say anything, people will get attracted because of your purity of your heart. If our heart is not pure, we won't be able to attract nobody. As long as we have those kind of a desire in our heart, Krishna doesn't allow us. He will not empower you. So these are some thought process, Mataji. I hope it takes a lot of time for everybody.
Thank you so much for explaining so good and clearing all these doubts that I had.
Let's stay on this divine path with no deviation, knowing that Krishna will never speak anything which is not true. We can say so many promises. Just see that, all these Durvasha Muni and all, they keep on giving all kind of boon, but he satisfies those because he loves his devotees. Nice when the devotees bless you, Krishna makes sure that blessings may fructify. So it is so nice to get the blessings of the devotees, by serving them. And I feel, so nice. Look at this, I read this message today, how kind they are. Because I was not taking even advantage of Maharaj Association. So he said, regularly come and see me. So look at their magnanimity,
Yes.
It's 3:30, Maharaj remember me. That's a good thing. Maharaj doesn't have to remember me at 3:30 in the morning. We chat sometime with Maharaj at, 1:30 in the morning because Maharaj wake up at 1:17 and I wake up at 1:21. I used to wake up at 1:17, but I don't want to supersede Maharaj. So I decided that I should not, wake up at 1:17. I should wake up at 1:21. And lately I have started taking shower. Every day I took now shower before I start chanting. Before that I was not taking shower. I said that you just wake up 7-8 minutes early and then you can have shower and everything. So slowly and slowly, who knows, Krishna makes something within our heart that we will accept those things that we may not accept before. And we will never be able to understand the hands of Krishna in our life because we never wants to give credit to Krishna, right? If just think about it, if you succeed in some business, you will take credit. Oh, I did it. But did we ever think about Krishna, that Krishna is the one who give me those ability? We have no ability. I cannot even speak one word if it doesn't dissolve. But did we maintain that mood throughout that day? That is the key. And that's why the principle of all devotional practice, why we chant, why we do devotional service, why we go to the temple,